I still don't know how such a bizarre corpse came to be. I encountered this strange incident in December 2009. That day, from a little after 8 a.m., I was cleaning a drainage ditch in Shinjuku with two of my co-worker laborers. Specifically, we were opening the covers and using a vacuum to suck out the mud and garbage accumulated there. Around 11:30 am, about 3 hours after we started cleaning, I opened the cover of the drainage ditch at this location and saw what looked like a human head inside. Since there was no smell of decay, I thought it was a doll and tried to take it out, only to realize it was a man's corpse. Panicked, I ran to the nearby police box. It was a completely puzzling situation. But this man was dead, huddled in a narrow space about 1.2 meters deep and 50 centimeters wide. For some reason, even though it was winter, he was wearing a t-shirt and was barefoot, with his feet soaked in water and macerated. The man was estimated to be in his 60s to 70s, about 165 centimeters tall, and had been dead for about 12 weeks. There were no significant external injuries on his body, so it was determined that there was no foul play, but the cause of death was unknown. The man had no identification on him, so his identity was unknown. Therefore, it was expected that the investigation would be difficult. However, the police quickly determined it was an accident, and the body was cremated soon after without identifying the deceased. Just a month after the incident, the case was published in the official gazette to find someone to claim the remains. Since there have been no further reports, it seems the investigation has ended. It's intriguing why the case was closed so quickly as an accident, but the police have given several opinions at the time of the body's discovery, so let's look at them. First, the police pointed out that there were no significant external injuries on the body, indicating a low probability of foul play. Although the possibility of murder cannot be completely ruled out, the police had conducted a thorough autopsy and made their judgment after careful examination. Additionally, the street where the incident occurred is busy with foot traffic. There are metropolitan apartments right in front, and a police box and fire station nearby. Therefore, abandoning a body in such a conspicuous place would be highly risky. Based on these 2 points, the police likely considered this incident to be an accident. This implies that the man either accidentally fell into the drainage ditch or entered it by himself. What possibilities exist? For instance, the man might have accidentally fallen into the ditch if the cover was open for some reason. Given the absence of injuries on his jaw or other parts of his body that would be expected from a fall, and the fact that his glasses were still on when discovered, this scenario seems unlikely. Did the man enter the drainage ditch himself and close the cover afterward? The cover weighs about 30 kilograms but can be closed from the inside. Hence, the police initially believed the man might have entered the drainage ditch on his own. They speculated that the man, suffering from dementia, might have entered the drainage ditch to escape the cold. While it's possible, as the man was wearing a t-shirt and barefoot, suggesting dementia, it's hard to understand why he would keep his feet in cold water for a long time in midwinter. Personally, I find the dementia theory somewhat implausible. According to a senior investigator from the Metropolitan Police Department, although it's a general statement, it is possible for someone suffering from dementia to crawl into a confined space and die. There are cases where bodies are found pushed into spaces under floors or in attics. While we investigate the scene considering the possibility of corpse abandonment, we determine there is no foul play when there are no traces of anyone else passing through the route to the discovery site. What circumstances led the man to die in the drainage ditch?
A strange incident occurred in Maizuru City in Kyoto, where I live. In March 2021, a skull missing its lower jaw was discovered in the storehouse of a private residence. At the time of discovery, the skull was wrapped in a newspaper and placed on a 19-centimeter square cushion. The person who found it immediately reported it to the police. The police identified the skull as belonging to a man in his 30s, but his identity remained unknown. Additionally, the house had been an abandoned property for quite some time, making the investigation difficult. The case was eventually published in the official government bulletin to seek further information, but it remains unsolved. There were 2 points in the bulletin that particularly caught my attention. The first is that the newspaper wrapping the skull was from May 15, 1921, over 100 years ago. The second is that the skull was not hidden, but placed on a cushion. The skull might have been used in some sort of ritual from these 2 points. If someone was regularly using the skull in a ritual, wouldn't the person have placed it somewhere easily accessible like on the cushion? Perhaps someone performed the ritual with the skull on the cushion and wrapped it in the newspaper afterward. The area around the site is very peaceful with little foot traffic, and since a storehouse can be locked, it's unlikely that anyone would have seen inside. It's possible that the person who performed the rituals passed away leaving the skull abandoned in the storehouse. Given that the newspaper might have deteriorated over time, the rituals might not have been performed repeatedly over many years. It might not have been a ritual, but rather for some kind of custom. Although cremation is the norm in Japan today, there are still places where burials are practiced. In specific regions such as Okinawa, there is a custom where after several years the grave is dug up again, and the remains now reduced to bones are reburied after being cleansed. This practice is referred to in folklore as reburial. During this process, it is often accompanied by washing of the bones, where the bones are purified with seawater or shochu, strong Japanese alcohol, and this combined practice is known as bone washing reburial. If the owner of this house were from such a specific region, the owner might have attempted to bury the body according to the unique customs of the homeland. However, such customs are not always accepted in other regions, and the homeowner may have quietly tried to bury the body without telling anyone. In the process, the homeowner might have passed away as well. This is merely my conjecture, but if it is true, I cannot help but feel deeply saddened. All I can do is simply pray for the peace of his soul.